What up, everybody? How you guys doing? So right now we're getting the old action buggy ready for Red River Motorcycle Trails on Friday. Today is Wednesday. Was just going out there and tightening down the straps. Noticed one of the wheel bearings on the back making some noise. So pulled it off the trailer, got all the tires adjusted. We dropped them down to like 4 psi. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna jack this thing up. We're gonna get these tires off, and we're gonna lubricate these wheel bearings one more time before we call it a day on those things, because we've been running those for a little bit. A couple bounty courses. I've competed at the Rednecks with Paychecks with them, and I've got a brand new set of kryptonite wheel bearings sitting right here on the floor. Just haven't put them in yet. So I like to get absolutely every last mile I can out of those things. There's no point in changing them if they're not broke, you know what I'm saying? So we'll get some grease, grease these things up. All right, so now we got this thing jacked up. Get these tires off. I hate these things. These freaking lug nuts, these like 6-spline lug nuts, after you have them for a while, they're always a pain to get off. So we're going to pull out this cotter pin here. That way we can take off the castle nut. Try and salvage that. Alright, so one thing I'm going to do while I'm here is I'm going to lubricate these ball joints. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this brake caliper off the front, and we're going to lubricate these ball joints top and bottom. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to lubricate these ball joints here. These ball joints here, the top one isn't going to be accessible if you have this brake system, because it has these cooling fins on it, and it's pretty much underneath that thing. So a couple of well, I thought they were 10 millimeters, turns out they're 8s. You're back. Okay, we're back. Boom, boom. Now you don't have to run these, but they're just cooling fins and scrapers on here to help keep the brakes clean. You run them if you want. Me, I like to have them on. All right, 3 little squirts in there. 3 little squirts in there. Hopefully this reaches. What a piece of crap. Boy, those were really on it. So now we gotta pull the castle nut off. This is a 27 millimeter, by the way. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get the grease buddy and show you guys how it works. First thing, pull the old rotor out. All right, y'all, so check this out. This right here, this is the grease buddy, bearing buddy, whatever you wanna call it. This is a bearing greaser for sealed bearings. These things can be your best friend or cause you a whole lot of headaches. I'm gonna explain why. So right here, we actually have a split bearing. So if you look right there, you see that line in the middle of the bearing? That is the opening that for the entire bearing. Everything else around it is all sealed. The thing is from the factory, they actually utilize that grease to hold the seal in, okay? So when you run your machine from the factory, you run it for a while, and then you start to hear noise, that's when you put grease in it. Don't pull your machine apart and be like, man, that doesn't look like there's no grease in there. There's grease in there, okay? Don't grease your stuff until you need it. When your machine starts making a bunch of noise from the bearing shifting around, that's when it's time to grease them. Pretty simple process, and you don't want to put too much. The reason for that is because when they assemble these, they use the grease to keep the seal in. So if you go in there and you jack a bunch of grease into your wheel bearing, it's just going to blow the seal out. So then it doesn't matter how much grease you put in, it's going to go in one end, come right out the other. So it's kind of a finesse. Let me show you how we do it. All right, so right here is where all the grease comes out. This thing basically just slides right over the axle.
and right inside the bearing. You want to make sure that seats all the way in there. And basically what you're going to do now is hook up your grease gun. Pretty simple. You shouldn't need any more than 2 to 3 pumps. I like to do it like this. 1 pump. 2 pump. 3 pump. Give it a feel. I can still feel a little bit of play in there. So here's another way you can do it. If you're a little bit better at, feel, you can pump real slow and rotate this. And what you'll do is you'll feel it tighten up. And when it tightens up just ever so slightly, like you can feel all the slacks kind of going out of there, that's when you stop, because you're really playing with fire. So once you get that, you stop it. I like to use a little flathead to pull these out. Boom, boom. Pull that out just like so. Okay. Now what we're going to do is reassemble. Go here and reassemble your front. Put your brake caliper on there. All right, so we did our ball joints. We did our bearing. Now we got to put our castle nut back on. We got to torque that. That's I think it's like 180 foot-pounds. I actually use a 170-pound torque stick and call it a day. Back in. All right, good to go. Now we got to tighten all these stuff. All right, y'all, doing the back, not much different. Start with the castle nut, and we'll take out the brake caliper. All right, so I couldn't get at that back lower bolt, so we're just gonna jack up the trailing arm a little bit. Put the caliper off. All right, check the bearing. This one seems a little bit nastier than the first one. We'll start with our 3 pumps, feel how it feels. We'll go from there. Another thing, this is your tension setting, okay? If you've noticed, I've been spinning it clockwise. What that does is actually loosens this damn thing. So when you do this, spin it counterclockwise so it doesn't make grease go everywhere. 3 pumps. Like I said before, you don't do this very often, just stick with 3. Okay, we're gonna feel around. A little bit of play in there. Do a slow squirt while we twist. Oh yeah, I can feel it tightening up there. And when I say it tightens, like it doesn't get restrictive to turn, but you can feel that it's getting like snug, if you will. And that's really one of the main reasons why I use a screwdriver to get it out. Plus it also helps keep your bearings from popping apart. All right, so we'll put a little bit of grease in here. These shafts, you let them sit for too long, you won't be able to get them off the damn axle. A lot of people say to use anti-seize. Me, I find anti-seize does not work real good when you blend it in with a bunch of dirt and water and nasty shit. Put our brake caliper back on. I hope I got enough grease to do the other side, because the other side's actually worse. All right, and that's it. So we'll go ahead and release this strap and put the tires back on. Just like that, got all the wheel bearings greased up, so should be good for another ride or two, and especially through the first week of May when we go compete with this thing again. And then we'll just put all new wheel bearings in it. So let's get this thing back on the trailer. I'm gonna get this thing freaking tied up and put on the trailer and ready for tomorrow. We're gonna go riding up at Red River Motorcycle Trails. Me and a couple of my buddies gonna meet up out there and thrash for a little bit. So appreciate y'all. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you got a little bit of information from it. If you did, share this stuff with your friends because maybe they don't have a clue either. So appreciate y'all for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Later.